Hey, everybody. We are live with Janet Nichols, who is a military community liaison for the Chamber of Commerce in Manhattan, but not necessarily the Manhattan you're thinking of.
No, Manhattan, Kansas.
Yeah, the cooler, like smaller cousin to Manhattan, New York, Manhattan, Kansas.
The Little Apple.
Yeah, that's what it was. I remember being out there. Thanks for joining us this afternoon, Janet. I really appreciate you coming out.
Oh, no, thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity. So thank you.
So let's talk about Manhattan, Kansas.
It's a little off the beaten track. It's in the northeast side of Kansas. We are 2 hours west of Kansas City. We're about 10 miles north of the interstate. So it's a little off the beaten track. You can't drive by on I-70 and see it. You just see what we call exit 313. You take the Bill Snyder Highway into Manhattan. Bill Snyder's a former coach, beloved coach of Kansas State University. And Manhattan is a college town. And it's interesting that there is a major military installation with an Army division here as well. However, Manhattan is a college town. So I have an interesting job as the military community liaison for the Chamber of Commerce. So that's Manhattan. It's a very small city. It's when the students are in town, we're close to 70,000, but that's about 20,000, fluctuation there. So.
And I remember going out there a few times with Crystal Bryan Kearns with the USO to some events. And I remember it's like I come down the highway and there's nothing. I think I come over a hill and I'm like, oh, there's this cute little place to me.
That's it. Yeah. I've warned family members when they come out to visit, like when you're driving from Kansas City, although we do have a small regional airport here, so we do have airline service. But, when you drive, when you get to Topeka, especially if you're from a big city back east, it's going to look pretty bare. A lot of cows and beautiful hills and a sea of grass that's just beautiful and hilly. Kansas is not flat. I'm from Miami, Florida. Miami is flat. Kansas is not flat. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful place to live.
No, I enjoyed it. I did not enjoy the drive from the Kansas City airport. I'm going to say that. But I did find an incredible barbecue place about halfway. And it just got some amazing barbecue. So it kind of made it worth the drive.
Well, Kansas City is known for barbecue, and that stretches probably around for 2 hours circumference around Kansas City. Yeah. But you can definitely get some delicious beef and barbecue in Kansas, I would say.
There's something else going on with Kansas City. I can't remember what it is on Monday. The Super Bowl.
The Super Bowl. Yeah. We all. It's a sea of red here. Usually it's purple in Manhattan for Kansas State University, but it's very red today, and everybody's super excited to see if Kansas City can bring home a second Super Bowl trophy. So, I'm not the hugest sports fan, but even I know who Patrick Mahomes is. So he's a great guy.
So let's talk about, you made it clear that it's a college town.
Yes.
Not a military town. And I know that's going to be hard to believe when you've got a division right there.
No kidding.
Right? So
I'm sorry, I missed that. Yes, it's Fort Riley. We are home of the 1st Infantry Division, the Big Red 1, the oldest division in the United States Army. We're really proud to have a division flag here, but living in Manhattan, it's interesting. I would say 85 to 90% of the people who live in Manhattan are connected in some way, shape, or form with Kansas State University. And I would say probably there's some overlap here, but I would say 30 to 40% are connected to Fort Riley. However, in terms of economic impact, Fort Riley is about 4 times the economic impact of Kansas State University. I had guessed that for a few years, and then I went to a conference in town, and I was well versed in Fort Riley's economic impact. They put out an economic survey every year, and that sort of thing. But I didn't know Kansas State's, and I was pretty much right on the nose.
Yeah.
Kansas State's about 770 million. And Fort Riley and the 1st Infantry Division are about 2.8 billion.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a huge driver for our region and for the state. I mean, it's one of the top 5, I think, in the state. So it's big. Yeah.
How many ballpark soldiers, family members are associated with Fort Riley?
So it fluctuates for active duty soldiers around 16 to 17,000. So then add about another 7 or 8,000 civilians, about 20,000 family members, and you can extrapolate from there.
So about 45, 50,000, it seems
yeah.
like. And how many students and faculty at Kansas State?
Students are 19 to 20,000. I'm not sure of the number of faculty members on K-State.
So it's like half the amount of people, but the revenue that's coming from that to the community, because you got all the soldiers and family members living and buying, and they've got their paychecks.
Well, exactly. Well, only 30% of the military currently live on post. Ballpark. So 70% of the active duty are living off post. And if you're thinking, the bulk of those that are living off post have families.
Yep.
So you can go from there. And depending on whether they buy a house or rent a house, a lot of times they tend to buy a car here. Then there's, if the spouse is employed in Manhattan, or, then there's those ancillary costs, and the tax base increases. So it just kind of goes. It goes on and on, and also, like, a lot of that revenue from K-State comes from sporting events. There's only like 7 home games typically a year, and that now with COVID, that's even different and less. So the impact, and I'm not saying that K-State is not a huge driver here, because it is, and you don't want to I don't want to come across as discrediting that in any way, shape, or form, because it's huge.
Yeah.
Especially for a town this size. I mean, it's big, but a lot of time that's not what first thought of in terms of where I am in the Chamber of Commerce and Economic Development.
Right.
So I, and I do have a seat at the table. I brief our Economic Development Committee and our investors, and I brief the city and the county. I have contracts with them as the liaison for the city of Manhattan. So it's there. They think of Fort Riley, but this is a purple town. This is not a green town. This is a purple town, and
I think that makes sense, because the majority of the people you mentioned on base are moving every few years.
Exactly.
And there's the people that run the town live in the town, and their kids went to school in the town. And I like Crystal and her team took me out to eat dinner at I think it was a Mexican place there, right on the edge of the campus. And like, it was clear that it was a college town. So I get it. So what's really exciting for me is I've never really sat down and talked about economic impact.
Oh, okay.
I know been to bases and the towns that go up around the bases and everything else like that. But to hear from your perspective, the 4 times the economic impact, what the money's going towards, how they're helping the communities, has been really interesting. So I guess we should start off 10 minutes in. What is the Manhattan Chamber of Commerce?
So the Chamber of Commerce in general, they are networking and advocacy organizations for business, and they are membership organizations. However, the stretch and reach goes beyond the members, and especially in terms of advocacy. So basically, ours is over 100, I think over 100 years old. And so basically, we work in a couple of different areas. So of course, economic development, because this is a business organization. So we work to make a great environment for business to thrive, both large business and especially small business and entrepreneurs. Likewise, so then we also have a membership division. So we help create events and programming to benefit business. So we have networking events. Then we also have, like, next Tuesday, we work with Google and other places to go ahead and show programming, like how to monetize your website. That's, I think, next Tuesday. Or how to best use Instagram or Pinterest to benefit your business, especially now that things have changed a lot in the past year. Those kind of help for small business.
Or how to use LinkedIn.
Or LinkedIn, excuse me. Oh my gosh. I've taken your class. I am a graduate of the Michael Quinn benefits of LinkedIn. Oh boy.
I just had to throw that out there. I can't have you naming those other.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. Yeah, but LinkedIn, and we have done some LinkedIn stuff as well at the chamber. So we are in on LinkedIn as well. So anyway, and then likewise, like I'm the liaison for the chamber. I'm the military community liaison, and sometimes that's called government affairs or military relations. Mine is called military relations. So I interact with Fort Riley in the 1st Infantry Division. I also, we have a National Guard unit, the 130th Field Artillery Brigade stationed here. I also work with Topeka. There's a fair amount of military connected things in Topeka. Fort Leavenworth is 2 hours away. That's the schoolhouse for the Army. Also from McConnell Air Base, also, which is, it's mostly now National Guard, I believe, Air Force, but they do the refuelers are out of McConnell. So, I mean, I do interact with them a little bit as well. I like to say that I'm kind of, the military expert for Manhattan, Fort Riley and the 1st Infantry Division specifically, but the military in general. And so I tried to create networking opportunities for Manhattan and Fort Riley. I also support Fort Riley as I can in terms of dealing and interacting with Manhattan. And, if anybody in Manhattan has some kind of a question in regards to the military or Fort Riley, I help that way as well. I also assist with workforce and transitioning soldiers. We have a talent person in our talent strategies coordinator at the chamber. I work with her a lot. And with the new transition assistance program, it used to be called Soldier for Life. Now it's just transition assistant. USO Pathfinder, which you have mentioned, Crystal from Pathfinder. That's a great team there. And also the ACS employment readiness, Army Community Service employment readiness.
I really want to get into your day a little bit, but before we do that, you're not from Manhattan, Kansas.
No, I'm not. Right? I'm not a local.
So what is your path from somewhere nice and warm to Manhattan, Kansas, being the military community liaison for the Chamber of Commerce?
Okay, so I am from Miami, Florida. I went to the University of Florida, and after I graduated from Gainesville, I lived in Atlanta for 6 years. I graduated in a recession with an English degree. Yeah. The only people who were getting jobs were accountants and engineers in 1990. So I waited tables. I was a retail management, back still in the heyday of retail. And I was set up with my husband on a blind date by his mother. He was at Fort Stewart. He was 4 hours away. We dated long distance, and he got sent to Korea. And as I like to say, he didn't seal the deal before he left. So from Korea, he said, "Hey, there's wives here. Why don't you come here and we'll get married?" Pretty much just like that. And I was like, you know what? Yeah. So we eloped in Korea. And I loved it. I had a great time. We were up north at Camp Casey, which was back then. I didn't really realize that that was really the most forward deployed place you could be at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And that started my journey with nonprofit work. I worked for the USO, Camp Casey, on Freedom's Frontier.
Yep.
And then after we were there, we moved to Fort Carson in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and I worked for the March of Dimes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I took a 13-year, very kind of typical Army spouse a break from employment to raise my kids while my husband pursued his career. Mm-hmm. I volunteered, as a lot of Army spouses do, a lot. FRG work, Girl Scouts. I was a PTO, parent teacher organization junkie. I was every job you could have with the PTO. It was a great crew where I did that. And then my husband was retiring in 2013. And when we moved to Fort Riley in Manhattan, I had been to an event and I didn't even know who was put on then. I had never heard of a Chamber of Commerce, but there was a welcome event at the zoo, and we went to it. And the gal who ran it, I thought.
Did you say at the zoo?
Yeah, at the zoo, Sunset Zoo. We have a zoo here.
I didn't even know.
Oh, yeah. We have a nice little zoo. It's beautiful. It's really a great zoo. So you never know what you're going to get, right? Mm-hmm. But I thought, wow, that's a cool job. If the stars ever align, I would love to have a job like that. So years later, my husband's retiring, and I knew the gal that had the job, and she was PCSing with her husband, and I fell into this job called Military Community Liaison, and ended up having a knack for it. Here it is, 2021. I think I've been in the job longer, two or three times longer than anybody that's had it prior to me. But I really like it, and I really like nonprofit work, mainly because you are doing everything.
Right. Before we get into that.
Okay. Okay.
One, I'm so glad you said took a break from employment when we talked about military spouses, because I've never known military spouses to be able to take a break. In general, usually you're doing everything that enables the military to run. Without military spouses, like it wouldn't work. I mean,
no kidding.
Everybody's getting out. So thank you for that. And
thank you.
And a 13-year break in employment is a huge challenge to overcome.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was petrified going back into the business world, really. And, you hear of imposter syndrome, which on the one hand, as a grown adult woman, I want to say poo-poo, but I really was like, for a while, for about 2 years, I was very much like, do they know that I'm doing this, that it's me doing this job, that, I'm used to, making, Valentine's Day's coming up. I would make these amazing Valentines for my kids to bring to school, like little Twinkies dressed up like minions, you're one in a minion, So, anyway, it took a while for me to get used to it and stuff, because volunteering different. And even though I probably sometimes had full-time volunteer jobs, where I spent 40 plus hours a week doing things, it's very different than being in the business world. I remember getting to the office, and it had been, first of all, when I left the business world, we had one computer. Now, granted, it was a nonprofit. We had one computer that was hooked up to the internet in a closet that you had to log time to use. And that on the big printer that you could scan and send a document. Amazing. Like, I had no idea that existed until 2013. So anyway, small things make you happy, right?
Funny side note, I was hiring at EY and I was interviewing a military spouse, and she told me she was a military spouse. She knew we were hiring military spouses. We all know the challenges associated with that, but like, we wanted military spouses. We wanted to give back to the community. It was an Army project, and like, she had this gap, and I'm like, there's a gap there. I'm just curious, because I knew she was doing something.
Yeah.
What were you doing? She's like, I worked at Secret Santa. I'm like, oh, really? What did you do? Well, I did the books for Secret Santa at Fort Hood. And I'm like,
you didn't put that on there?
So no. And then she goes, I said, what else did you do? She goes, well, I did inventories for the warehouse because Secret Santa on Fort Hood is so big. There's a warehouse. Okay.
Yeah.
What else did you do? Well, I did the Form 990s every year. And what else did you do? Well, I had to file the 501c3 paperwork and make sure we're paying out everything. I said, you
Stop.
weren't a volunteer Secret Santa. You were the CFO of a nonprofit.
Yeah.
Like, let's change the narrative on you just weren't getting paid. That's the difference. So it was just really an amazing experience. And I could hear the shock in her voice.
Oh yeah.
It dawned on her that like it's the imposter syndrome. Like,
yeah.
Volunteer work doesn't have to be volunteer section. Like, it's not like you weren't doing anything. Yeah. So I really appreciate that. Now let's go into your job because I know we're like 22 minutes almost.
Okay.
So nonprofit.
Yes.
Chamber of Commerce.
Yes.
Bringing the military community and the Manhattan, Kansas, and greater area together to do what?
Well, really to the betterment of both communities. I'm a very much a more the merrier kind of person. We're better together. And so, and I never really know what a day's gonna bring necessarily because I'm involved in everything you could think of. I mentioned workforce and transition. I'm also involved right now. There's something called the Defense Community Infrastructure Program, which funds infrastructure projects outside of the gate that help inside the gate. So I'm knee deep in that. Fort Riley has connected a couple of gates with a trail, a multi-use trail. They want to build a second trail, and then they also want to connect the town on the west side of Fort Riley, which is Junction City, Fort Riley, Manhattan, and then the town east of us, Wamego. They want one huge trail. So I'm involved in that.
What kind of trail, like a biking trail or
bike running, multi-use?
Oh,
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I'm involved with, I'm working with K-State Military Affairs on a military quality of life survey so that we have a comprehensive idea of what is available to the military and veterans in the state. If anybody knows what we have to offer, compile it so that we can A, promote that, and B, work with our legislators to improve it and make Kansas a more attractive place for active duty and veterans. And then I throw these networking events. Like this past Wednesday, I had my MRC lunch where I had the Irwin Army Community Hospital's Director of Nursing and Patient Services brief on their COVID outreach and mitigation and their migration to the Defense Health Agency and how that's going to affect people and such. So, I did all of, I recruited the speaker, I put out the invites, I maintain a contact list of 700 people to send invitations to. I maintain social media on 4 different pages and platforms, and I'm a one-person shop within the chamber. I mean, of course I can get some help and that sort of thing, but really I don't have a paid assistance that's military relations. It's me.
So it sounds like your job, and correct me if I'm wrong, is to make sure that the military and the local communities are always connected.
Yes, exactly. I'm a liaison.
Right.
And if you look online at the definition of a liaison, that's what I'm doing. So
and there's no there's no requirement like you will do XYZ. It's like you keep seeing ways to positively impact either side of that equation and bring them together.
Exactly. I mean, I have a framework that I participate within, and I do have a contract with the city, and there's certain expectations of things for me to do and maintain. However, from the get-go with this position, I was told by the then president and CEO, and the current one is currently keeping that going, whatever you see as the need to do to get that job done, do it. So I've been very fortunate. On the other thing is, and yes, I'm not saying that I could do whatever I want, but I have a very long leash, and I guess over time I've also proved that, I don't need much oversight to get this done. And I think, I have the military background. My husband was in the military for 23 years. Some spouses have no idea what their husbands were doing or what, various things. I kept track of what he was up to. I mean, I might not have known a lot or, I didn't think I knew much about the military, but sometimes I say things to people and they're like, what? And the military does, they have their own language. They live a different style of life. I mean, it is very different. Breaking things down. Like when I said ACS earlier, I said, excuse me, Army Community Service, which is like the social services organization for the post, which is where you go to connect and find out resources and volunteer opportunities and that sort of thing, and employment. So
no, I get it 100%. So what does your day look like? What time do you start? What time do you end? Is it all Zoom? I'm guessing you get free lunches in town all the time.
I have long said there's too many buffets in my job, and I gained 2 dress sizes when I started. So yeah, but things have changed tremendously in the past year, because I attended many events and ceremonies connected with Fort Riley. So that has changed a lot. I went to battalion, brigade, change commands. I went to some promotions. I'd go to flag casings for deployments, redeployments. I was not in the office a lot, and now I'm not out of the office much, understandably. And so now I'm at my, I start at 8:00 and I go till 5. However, even now, there's still things. I have meetings before work. I have meetings after work. I have dinners. I have banquets. I throw a ball in Manhattan. I go to balls.
An actual ball?
Yeah, Manhattan. One of my programs is called the Little Apple Brigade. And it is a membership opportunity within the chamber. For people who are the senior leader in their business, and it connects them with the senior leadership, full bird colonels and above at Fort Riley. And it's 2 events a year. It's a spring social, which hopefully I'll be able to have this year. I couldn't pull it off last April, so we're shooting for this April. And then in the fall, around Veterans Day, I throw a ball. And I have literally, and I'm proud to say this, I have literally been told more than once by senior level people, I've been to like 40 balls, and this is the best ball I've ever been to. So it's really, really everybody, all the ladies get an apple souvenir, like some sort of a paperweight, and it's past hors d'oeuvres. The salad isn't sitting on the table at this ball. It's nice. So live music, it's there. So anyway, that's one of, I had never planned a ball before this job, but now I got it down.
So, and we've got Justin Platt is at Fort Riley right now.
Oh, hey.
So small world. So sounds like you have a dream job for a lot of retirees, military spouses. You just get to, hold events, talk to people, communicate with the community, get involved in the transition. There's no fundraising or sales.
Oh no, there is fundraising.
We don't do any sales in nonprofits, right?
Yeah. No, you do everything in nonprofits, and yeah, no, those events don't come cheap. So there is fundraising and sponsorships. But I know that I fell into a bucket of cream with this job. Absolutely. Like when I saw that position at the zoo, and I thought that looks like a great job. Yeah, it's a great job. I'm really lucky that I fell into this job.
And when you say fell into it, you didn't apply online and get selected, right? Did you know somebody?
Yeah. So I, the Army wife mafia, I knew the spouse who was in the job before me, but I also, because of volunteering, I knew people in town connected with the Chamber of Commerce. I might not have known that when I was interacting with them, But so I had some really amazing references, like people who were former chamber board chairs.
Mhm.
And I also had like my husband's senior commander, like, so, and when you write I mean, I still submitted a resume and a cover letter and all of that stuff.
Yep.
And I'm able to say, I know the difference between, a sergeant major and a major. And, I know the difference between a battalion and a brigade.
Yeah.
So the knowledge base was there, but yeah, I knew people, and that's another reason for volunteerism. I mean, that's how, it's a way to meet people and find jobs. I've said a bunch of times, I don't know if I said it here, I'm a more the merrier kind of person.
Mm.
So the more you can expand your network anyway, like if you like to paint, if you like to cook, if you take a cooking class, you have no idea who's standing next to you cooking. None, so
Yeah.
so always look for different ways to meet and connect with people.
And I think that's the key. That's really is in a lot of ways the key to life when it comes to is finding and surrounding yourself with people that share backgrounds and interests. And I could see that. In fact, you talk about volunteering. It's all about how many people can you touch.
Mm-hmm.
I talk about doing it on LinkedIn because you can reach a large group that's not where you're at. But even I've gone to one of my child's a birthday party of one of my kids' classmates and talking to parents there, and one of them ends up being like a senior partner for Deloitte, now running one of their largest offices. And I'm just chatting with him, and he's like, "Well, what do you do?" And I was like, "Well, I'm getting out of the Army." He's like, "Oh, well, and I'm like,
yeah.
And like, it's just amazing the people that you can meet if you just focus on meeting.
Yeah.
And chatting and going to these events and volunteering and everything else. So incredible advice there. So we're over 30 minutes, Janet.
Oh, wow. Gosh.
It happens like that. Two questions for you. If anyone has a question about one, Fort Riley, or two, nonprofit, transitioning space, whatever, can they reach out to you on LinkedIn?
Absolutely. And I think I'm under Janet Gilly Nichols, and but yeah, absolutely reach out to me.
And I'll tag you on the post when this is over.
Okay, great.
Number two, what is your top piece of advice to a transitioning service member or a military spouse in the middle of a career transition for finding their next career? Number one piece of advice.
Use your network, man. Talk to people you never know what anyone in your network has going on. Mm-hmm. And even if they don't, in their position or their place of employment, they might know someone.
Yep.
And seriously, you never ever know. And that, that's part of why you live by the golden rule, and that's part of why you talk to people. You make the best out of any situation. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Transition is hard. It's not an easy process. It's hard. That the military has got there. I always said, if it wasn't for war, the military is the best way to live. I mean, because I was there before 9/11 and after, and even after 9/11, there's a lot of benefits of living that military life. However, once you get past it, post transition is great too, and I've had a really great run so far. So I'm glad where I am and stuff. But yeah, use your network, talk to people.
I love it. And funny story, I got my job at EY because I asked one of my mentors. I saw a job I liked at EY, and I asked one of my mentors, "Hey, do you know anybody at EY?" And he goes, "Oh my God, yes. One of my mentors is a partner at the office near you. Let me do an introduction." And he sent an email to her, just doing a virtual introduction. And I said, "Can I buy you coffee and just learn more about the firm?" And she's like, "Come in." And literally 20, 30 minutes with her. She walked me to another partner, 45 minutes with her. 3 working days later, I was a final on-site interview.
Nice. Wow.
And it was just because I out of the blue, "Hey, do you know anybody at this company?" So your advice to ask the people you know, is spot on. I mean, it happened for me, and I'm sure it happens for so many other people.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, that's how I fell into my job. I mean, Allison was moving and I said, hey, and I had told her way before she was moving, I said, when you're ready to PCS, I might be ready to get back into the workforce. So let me know, give me a shot. And she did. I mean, she let me know. And I mean, I don't know. I don't even know if anyone else applied when I did. I really don't. But it worked out.
I'm sure they did. An amazing job. And I love what you're doing for both, the military and the Manhattan community.
Thanks.
So, Janet, thank you so much for your time today. If the fall comes around and you're doing a ball and you want to invite somebody from out here to come out,
okay.
Give me a reason to drive back out to the Little Apple. I would love it. I'd go out there to the ball. I'd go see the zoo.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'd ask Crystal to take me out, for wine or something again.
Absolutely.
I mean, you guys had some great wine and drinks there.
Crystal goes to that ball. She's there. You'll see her there.
I'm going to harass her too. So,
okay.
Thank you so much for everything, Janet. Please stay safe. And this video will be on our YouTube channel as well.
Great.
All right.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it.
Bye-bye.